Good morning, friends and honorary Patersonians. I want to start off by saying that it is an auspicious occasion. In fact, I think we all agree that anytime we've been joined by Tim Sullivan, that's a really good day for the city of Paterson and the county of Passaic. He always comes bringing good tidings. As a matter of fact, we couldn't have made Hinchliffe Stadium happen without the visionary leadership of our friend in Trenton, Tim Sullivan. He helped the city, the state, our country bring back our field of dreams. And to elaborate even further, it opened up the door for opportunities. We always talk about employment and empowerment in the city of Paterson. Over 90% of the people that are working at Hinchliffe Stadium, whether it's concession, security, or any other position, is occupied by a Paterson resident. And we're going to keep expanding. We have the New Jersey Jackals who are entering their third season at Hinchliffe Stadium. Now we have an all-women's professional tackle football team. The Jersey Shore Wave will be playing their home games there too. And stay tuned because we are bringing professional soccer to Hinchliffe Stadium. I'm not allowed to elaborate on that as much as I want to. I can't. You know how hard it is, right, Bob?
Listen, by the end of the speech,
That's true. If you keep asking me enough, you might be able to get me to come forward with it. But today it's about the Urban Investment Fund and how two of the major cities in Passaic County are going to benefit, and how both Passaic and Paterson are in growth mode, and that we are experiencing a revitalization. But this resurgence could not occur without the assistance of the Economic Development Authority. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I want to call forward the aforementioned visionary leader from EDA, Tim Sullivan, our executive director. I said it just like you wrote it, Tim.
Thank you, Mayor. Where'd you go? You're right behind me.
Yeah, right
Making me, making me nervous. You're right behind me.
That's what we do at Seton Hall.
So you went there first in the Seton Hall crack.
That's right.
Okay. I forget, what was the score of the Georgetown Seton Hall
No, I don't
game?
want to talk about that right now. He went to Georgetown.
I did go to Georgetown. My mom went to Seton Hall, and my mom went to teaches at DePaul, so of which the mayor's an alum.
Here.
Exactly. It's great to be here. My name's Tim Sullivan. Mayor Laura, thank you for joining us. Mayor Sarah, thank you for hosting us, for all these kind words. This is a really important morning, a really important announcement. On behalf of Governor Murphy, our entire team at the Economic Development Authority, we're really thrilled to be making these kinds of investments, nearly $13 million across 11 different projects here in Paterson and in the city of Passaic. This is part of a program that is, as the mayor noted, is called the Urban Investment Fund. This is something that Governor Murphy created, the legislature created in the wake of the pandemic, which in some ways feels like a distant memory and in some ways feels like 5 minutes ago. Because we know that our cities, particularly our urban centers in Passaic County and all throughout the state, had challenges and opportunities before the pandemic and got hit hardest by the pandemic, whether that's the public health dimensions of it, the lack of the degree to which work from home and closure of restaurants and the challenge that small businesses faced was particularly acute in our cities. And so the governor created, using federal funds, so shout out to our federal delegation, both senators, Congresswoman Poe, we used to call her Senator Poe, but Congresswoman Poe now, and the entire federal delegation from Jersey pulling together to make this federal funding available to support these kinds of catalytic projects, because we know that to bring back to put as much spring in the step of our cities as possible, which have so much opportunity. You see behind us, you see these beautiful buildings that a city like Paterson has, and Mayor, you parked your train in the wrong location, Mayor. They're going to tow that if you're not careful. But you see the beautiful history, the industrial history, the Great Falls around the way, the great manufacturing legacy in a city like Passaic. Creates real opportunities, but also some real challenges, because some of these buildings are old. They need a little extra love. They need some investment. They bear the scars of historical industrial practices that we wouldn't do today, that leave brownfields behind, and historic contamination that needs to be dealt with. But they also present huge, wonderful opportunities. Again, they don't make buildings like this anymore. They don't make buildings like that anymore, and I wish they did. But the opportunity to create new housing, new community spaces, new arts and culture, new vitality, new opportunities for small businesses, and particularly, as the mayor said, when that means an opportunity for local employment for folks from Paterson, from Passaic, to work on not just building these projects, but activating them and having the permanent jobs that come with them. This is a really exciting opportunity, and so this is something that Governor Murphy has made a huge priority. We're here on his behalf to celebrate and note this funding that's been made available. It's not just in Paterson and Passaic. We'll be in Camden and in Trenton and in Newark as well, making these kinds of investments. In Atlantic City, that has a sort of a companion program, because we know that in the wake of the pandemic, which again the scars will be with us for a long time from all that, the opportunity to revitalize and put new energy, new vitality, new jobs, new investment, new building into our cities is an incredibly important opportunity. And so I just want to thank our team that's back at the ranch at the EDA that does the work to put these programs together, particularly in absentia, George Santos, who has actually since moved on from our team, but was still the captain of this effort within his group, and Dan Jennings and a number of other important leaders that have drive these programs forward, and the support of our board, who it pushes us hard to make sure that we're following and making the investments where they can be most impactful, and that's in places like Passaic, like Paterson, which have again such great opportunities, such great momentum, but need a boost from these kinds of projects. So we're looking at 11 different projects across a range of different, public space, housing, community development, arts and culture. These are huge opportunities to drive growth, to drive vitality, to get more activity back in our cities, where it can have such a huge impact. So, Mayor, thank you for hosting us. Mayor, thank you for being everywhere you look. Mayor, you got a mayor everywhere you look. And everybody's a Mets fan today.
Yes, that is correct. That's why I'm wearing the tie, Tim.
I see that.
Yes.
Everybody's a Mets, including me.
2 days.
2 days to opening day?
2 days. Oh, Steve, indecent exposure. Cover it up right now.
Oh, my God. The Yankees? They still have a team?
That was good. When Juan Soto left.
Exactly. But anyway, on a serious note, Mayor, thank you for hosting us. Mayor, thank you for being here. We're excited about this, and we've endeavored to be partners to both of these great communities throughout the entirety of the Murphy administration, and over the next 9-10 months, whatever we've got left, to push hard to see these projects get started, come to fruition, create jobs, create vitality, and continue to drive the momentum of both of these two great cities. So thank you both for being here. Thank you all for being here, and congratulations on the funding of the projects.
Come on, another round of applause for Tim Sullivan, the bearer of very good tidings. My better half is simply the best. She's a marketing executive, and when we first entered office in 2018, she says, you have to rebrand Paterson. Play to your strengths. What are the assets that you have here? So we came up with the logo, or should I say slogan, Paterson is the home of the Great Falls, great food, and a great future. And this project will help us build on our brand, or raise our brand awareness, because the gateway to the Great Falls is Spruce Street. And at one time when people exited the highway, what they saw was a notorious nightclub known as Dr. Cave. But now we've gone for a second opinion, and we've diagnosed that the prescription is to have economic development in the area that is conducive to what we're looking to do with the symbol of our city, the Great Falls. Our next speaker is a young man who has restored pride in the city of Passaic. He's a young man who's restored integrity at City Hall in the city of Passaic. He has tremendous zest for what he does. In fact, he embodies what a mayor should be. He's put his city on his back, and he has led the way to an even better future for Passaic. Ladies and gentlemen, my colleague, counterpart, and friend, Mayor Hector Carlos Laura. It is yours.
Thank you so very much, Mayor, for that most generous introduction. Thank you for hosting this and for always being so kind and welcoming to us as we come into the wonderful city of Paterson, New Jersey. Tim, I just want to share with you our deep appreciation on behalf of the entire city of Passaic all of my colleagues who work with me on the city council, Council President Gary Scher, Councilman Chaim Monk, Councilman Dr. Terrence Love, Councilwoman Maritza Colon Montañez, Councilwoman Tanya Mello, Councilman Joe Garcia, and Councilman Daniel Schwartz. This funding makes such a huge difference for our community. As all of you know, Mayor Sayer is a big Mets fan.
Big time.
As it was already shared, if you weren't, you were just told by Mr. Sullivan that everyone's a Mets fan today.
That's right.
I heard some boos. But being a Mets fan as well, everyone loves a good comeback story. It's exciting. And the pandemic had devastating impacts on communities like ours, underserved communities, urban centers throughout the state of New Jersey. Unfortunately, when the pandemic was done, there was loss of life. And though many doors were open, some businesses did not. In the city of Passaic, we understood that there was unemployment. These are issues that we face throughout the years, but the pandemic only exacerbated those concerns. These were the hopes and dreams of so many families within our communities to say, I'm going to open up a business. I'm going to have part of that American dream. I'm going to have enough money to send my kids to college, to buy a home, to have a future. No one expected the pandemic, and many of those doors closed, not by choice. Obviously, there was a need to respond to this huge concern throughout the communities to keep residents safe, to keep distance. As mayor, and I'm sure that my colleague can attest to this, there was frustration. We wanted to help. We were creative. New Jersey is strong, and our cities are resilient. We became creative with outdoor dining and distancing and allowing people to come and pick up food and take it home. But at the end of the pandemic, again, I'll reiterate, there were many doors that were closed and did not open up again. Unemployment rose in areas where essential services are already scarce. So this funding, which the city of Passaic will receive over $5 million, $5 million in order for us to invest in public spaces as well as rehabilitation projects for buildings that became vacant as a result of the pandemic. We're going to use some of this money in order to take eyesore properties and create pocket parks and allow for reinvestment in areas that will make it more conducive for individuals to not only visit our commercial area, but stay in Passaic, eat in Passaic, so that we can continue this great rivalry between Paterson and Passaic as to who has the best food, a friendly rivalry. I love this rivalry because me and Mayor Sayer go around and try different eateries around the county, and well, mostly Paterson. He's always going, come over here, because he says they have the best restaurants. But also, as was mentioned, in terms of rehabilitation, in the revitalization, strategic programming and approach that we're taking in our Main Avenue commercial corridor, we're going to utilize some of this funding in partnering with non-for-profit and for-profit developers in order to provide mixed use of commercial on the ground floor and affordable housing on the top floors, addressing an affordability issue that we know exists throughout the state of New Jersey. We know that there's going to be opportunities because of this funding to provide employment, to re-encourage our business owners, to let the community know that we are strong. The pandemic had devastating effects, as I said before, but we can continue forward together. I'm excited about this funding for Paterson, for Passaic, for cities around the state of New Jersey. As Tim Sullivan shared, that he has some other trips he has throughout the day and the funding is going to other areas, I have to share with you how important it is that Trenton comes to our cities, that you show face, that you encourage our communities, that you partner with us. I think Mayor Sayer articulated it best, that when you come, there are smiles because we know that there's going to continue to be many challenges. I tell specific stories because throughout the years, I've had families come and tell me, Mayor, our business couldn't survive the pandemic. And it wasn't because the city wasn't willing to assist or there wasn't funding. There were other extenuating circumstances. For some business owners, their partners passed away during the pandemic. Children were hurt and said, I can't continue the business. But for others who wanted to come back, this funding helps out so very much because even when you consider the investment in our commercial corridors, as I mentioned before, whether it's a pocket park or removing eyesore properties to ensure that we make the area more appealing and attractive, business owners come back and say, thank you, because this funding means you didn't forget about us. that you're still concerned about our future, because the future of our businesses, the future of our properties, of our housing opportunities, it's the future of our city and the future of our state. So as mayor, again, I want to express my deepest appreciation, Tim Sullivan, obviously to you, to the EDA, to all of the staff members who work in the EDA. The Urban Investment Fund becomes extremely important because urban centers like ours, obviously the pandemic impacted everyone, but it was difficult, more than challenging for those who were barely making it by, paying for bills, to have lost not just people they loved, but what they thought were their hopes and dreams, and to know that they have an opportunity to continue the legacy of whether their parents, grandparents, and continue to invest. It makes all of the difference. Thank you so very much.
Come on, ladies and gentlemen, please. Honorary Patersonian, the Passaic mayor, who enjoyed Al Basha a few months ago, which is considered one of the best restaurants in the country by USA Today and Mayor Hector Laura. That's all the validation we need. I want to acknowledge a few people. We're joined by our school board president, Eddie Gonzalez. Thank you. We're getting a new tennis court, School 25. Get ready for that grand opening. We also have with us our director of the Paterson Public Library, Corey Fleming. Thank you for joining us. And his president of the board there, Daria Tashkin. From Assemblywoman Shavonda Sumter's office, Marilyn Frierson. Thank you for joining us as well. I also want to acknowledge it's a partnership park. We can't talk about the Great Falls without saluting our superintendent, Darren Bach. And he and I met recently. We have a river walk that is ready to be open. We're just waiting on a federal department. It still exists. Doge? No, it's not Doge. But Mayor Laura, we may need your muscles. We may have to do some flexing on the federal government. Right? Gus? No comment. But actually, we're looking to restore the gatehouse where the old Libby sign was. Some of the bridges, the wooden bridges, looking to repair those. And we want to get the raceways flowing once again so that we can enhance the aesthetic appeal and the attraction of the Great Falls. I also want to acknowledge a gentleman who knows history like no other in the city of Paterson, the director of our museum, Giacomo Jack DeStefano. And he could tell you about this train and why it's parked here. It had a little bit to do something with one of my predecessors. Lawrence Pat Kramer, may he rest in peace, a legendary mayor here in the city of Paterson. Speaking of legends, we have with us a young man that I affectionately refer to as Bob the Builder. We have collaborated on projects that have provided affordable housing for individuals struggling with medical conditions, chronic medical conditions. We have collaborated to restore Lou Costello Memorial Park and build an inclusive playground for children with autism. And we have other endeavors that we are pursuing jointly, like finally bringing to fruition the Alexander Hamilton Visitor Center at the Great Falls. Not to mention the Youth Performing Arts Center as well. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Bob, the aforementioned Bob the Builder, Bob the Blessing, Bob Garashi.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Mayor. It's wonderful to be here on this chilly and windy morning, but a great morning, and particularly with this backdrop of America's industrial past made possible by the vision of Alexander Hamilton, who traversed these very streets and decided that Paterson ought to be the place where America, who had won its political independence, now would win its economic independence. And it all started here. American industry, American commerce started right here, and that backdrop that you see me is so evocative of the wonderful history of this nation and of this city. Mayor, I do want to thank you. I want to thank Tim and the Economic Development Authority. I want to thank Governor Murphy, who has long supported not only the city of Paterson and the city of Passaic, but also nonprofit organizations like mine up and down this state. We're enormously grateful to receive these dollars that are going to allow us to take two old buildings and remake them to meet modern day needs. The mayor mentioned the Dr. Cave Go-Go Bar. Can only be described as a notorious nuisance property here in this neighborhood of Paterson. And it will be no more, Tim, thanks to the Urban Investment Fund.
Come on.
It will become new apartments to help meet the need for affordable housing, and will also have ground floor retail to stimulate additional economic vitality here in this district. Beyond that, the building at 59 Spruce Street, which has served as a preschool for many years, will be transformed into what we call the Youth Wellness and Learning Center, a place where young people can come to take part in all kinds of enriching activities like STEM and others. But also we're going to remake the front of the building so that it too will have storefronts to create more economic vitality here in the district. The superintendent will tell you that since the national park was created, and by the way, Mayor, we may need to get another cake because March 30th will mark the 16th anniversary of President Barack Obama signing legislation that created the Great Falls National Historical Park. And in these 16 years, we're seeing more and more people who want to come to Paterson, who want to come to the Falls. Superintendent, I think the latest number is that it's over 300,000 people who are coming every year. Well, through the Urban Investment Fund and through the projects that we are able to undertake with it, more and more people will have not only the opportunity to go and see the falls, but then to walk these streets, to sit down, to have a place to eat, and really enjoy this district even more. So on this day, I'm enormously happy. I'm enormously thankful. Again, Tim, to you and EDA, Mayor, to you, to the city, and to Governor Murphy for making what can only be described as transformational projects possible. So thank you.
Thank you. And Bob, I want to thank you. You mentioned that we're going to get cake. I'm not going to dispute that there. Although I gave up cake for Lent, I'll ask for a dispensation on Sunday to mark the anniversary of President Obama signing legislation designating the Falls a national park. In Paterson, the name Hamilton is synonymous with vision because it was on July 10th, 1778, when he was having a picnic with then General George Washington. He was his aide-de-camp with the Marquis de Lafayette, when Hamilton saw the falls and saw the future. And here we are, if we fast forward 200 plus years later, we are the future. And this award to both Passaic and Paterson will help us pave the way and position both cities for future progress. Mayor Laura believes in the good book. He himself is a reverend, or he's at least revered by us. And one of my favorite scriptures, if I may paraphrase, says that without a vision, the people will perish. But we're here today with Tim Sullivan to say that with a vision, the people of Passaic and the people of Paterson will prosper. And if I'm going to be paraphrasing, I want to close by thanking Governor Phil Murphy and paraphrasing something he often said on the campaign trail in 2017 during his first gubernatorial election. As goes Passaic and Paterson, so goes the state of New Jersey. Thank you for joining us, everybody.